Good evening. Welcome to Giants Roundup. It is June 11th, and this was not a good night for the Giants as they some way somehow lose to the fucking Miami Marlins 7-5. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crooked Kite page on Facebook, and please be kind and hit that subscribe button. This was not a good game for Madison Bumgarner. Not a good game at all for Bumgarner, and the bats just teed off on Bumgarner in the third inning. His line was not good tonight. 4 earned and 5 in the third. Not a good start out of Bumgarner. Dyson, not good night out of him. 2 earned and 2/3 of an inning pitched. A good inning was the gas can of Corey Guerin. The Giants now fall to 33 and 33 and fall into third place. The Giants did start with a 1-0 lead with a single by Longoria to score McCutchen. But then Brian Anderson comes in and hits a home run off of Bumgarner. It makes it 1-1. Then his troubles will not end there for Bumgarner as Lewis Brinson triples off of him. It makes it 3-1, 2-1. It scores Real Muto, and then the Giants respond in the top of the fifth with a double by McCutchen to score Gorkis Hernandez to make it 2-2. Then Buster Posey scores on a balk by Chen. And then a Hundley walk scores McCutchen to make it 4-2. And then the nightmare inning came in the bottom of the sixth. Cameron Maben sacrifices to score Anderson, and then Brinson singles to left to score just JT Real Muto. It makes it 4-4. That would end Bumgarner's night. But as he was leaving, he did have some choice words for the umpire, and he managed to get himself ejected from the game. His first curse. But yeah, that's then Bumgarner gets ejected on his way to the dugout after having a few choice words for the umpire. Now the question is, this could be reviewed by the league office for possibly a fine. So it totally would not be surprised if Bumgarner gets a fine for what he says. But I don't think it's going to be anything more than a fine, if anything. But it wouldn't be surprised if he gets fined by the league office. That is one thing you cannot do is mutter something. He probably must have said the magic words, and it won't be a big fine though. But it's not going to be nothing more than he'll probably get a. It might, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets fined by the league office for it. That was his first career ejection from the game. Then comes in Reyes Maranta. He settles it down for a little bit. Then in the top of the seventh, Crawford sacrifices to score McCutchen after McCutchen was hit by a pitch by Rucinski. It makes it 5-4. That would be it, though, as in terms of the Giants' lead, is Maranta coughs up the lead with a double by Anderson. It scores Rivera to make it 5-5. Then comes in Sam Dyson, who's normally reliable, but not tonight. He gives up a bomb to JT Real Muto, makes it 7-5, and that would be your final. And that would be Real Muto's 7th home run of the year. He's certainly going to be a trade chip for the Marlins at the deadline this year. He was 3 for 4. Anderson 3 for 4. But if your Bumgarner, is essentially spring training still for Bumgarner, so you're going to have these type of games, and why not do it against a team the Giants shit the bed on anyways, against the Miami fucking Marlins? Gorkis goes 2 for 3. Crawford has his first 0 for in a while. Williamson continues to be cold. His average drops to 246. Alan Hansen goes 0 for 4. You know, it's also the downside of recovering from a concussion. It's going to take time. Maybe you do see more of Hunter Pence in left field to remedy the situation, but sending him down to the minors, that I just don't think that's the option. Just let it ride and maybe give him some more days off to work on his swing. That's all you can really do. But for Bumgarner, he'll shake it off. It'll be all right. I don't see this being a big issue. You just cough up, and if you do get fined, so be it. Just move on to the next game. This is just a game you want to forget if you're. But also though, what also good for the Giants? What's also good though for Miami? It looks like they have another trade chip for teams in Adam Conley. I certainly think he could bring back a return for the Marlins at the deadline. But they need this loss hurts. This is a game they needed to win. They didn't get the win, and they cannot they don't have the luxury of having too many of these opportunities against these type of teams to get wins. These are the games you need to win if you want to be a playoff contender at this point. If you don't win these games, but tomorrow certainly I would like to see Chris Stratton get back on track. His last game was not great, but if it becomes a pattern with Bumgarner, could Kurt Young be one and done? If his struggles become sustained, then you may have to put Kurt Young on the hot seat. Maybe not yet, but maybe there is a reason why he got fired in Oakland. The rotation hasn't been great this year. Luckily, the bullpen's been good, but you do have, but also reinforcements are coming. Looks like probably by sometime next week, Jeff Samardzija is going to head out on a rehab assignment. But certainly don't rush Samardzija back. That would, especially after all the struggles he had on the last time he returned from injury, you take his time getting him back during the rehab assignment. So yeah, it looks like Samardzija is going to go on a rehab assignment starting Thursday or Friday. He will make 2 starts. So he will probably rejoin the Giants rotation likely at the end of the month, which is good there. We'll see what's up with Cueto. Cueto, he had a bullpen session. Okay, he had a 45 pitch session in the bullpen. It looks like he will have one more bullpen session after that before he goes before going to live batting practice. Then, so that's really good news there. It looks like we will probably get Samardzija back probably in time for the next home, maybe the tail end of the next homestand or the next roadie. So that's. But the big question is who's going to go down. I think certainly it'll be the two youngsters will probably go back down to the minors, and they've been good but not great, and certainly they could use what they've learned in the show to build on some stuff in AAA. So that's certainly some things, and I think certainly Holland's done well enough to keep his spot in the rotation. So probably Chris Stratton falls to the 5 spot, and that's not too bad. Unless the two youngsters, Suarez and Rodriguez, can make an impression here in the next couple weeks. But it looks like I'm going to look at the calendar here. But yeah, probably around June 25th, we should see the return of Jeff Samardzija. And hopefully they'll take it. They'll take their time with getting Samardzija back into the rotation this time. I don't want to see him pitching hurt again. But it looks like Cueto, he's still got batting practice and one more bullpen session before he goes out on a rehab assignment. But certainly with Chris Stratton, he definitely wants to tomorrow. I think he would love nothing more than to make up for that poor outing last time against the Nationals, and I mean not the Nationals, but the Phillies. So certainly it'll be tomorrow's. And tomorrow your starters will be Chris Stratton against Trevor Richards. So as I said, 7-3. I'd like to see Stratton get a quality start here. Get the bullpen some rest tomorrow. They've been. And that's probably half the reason why the bullpen kind of struggled today too. Is they've been worked quite a bit lately, especially Maranta has been worked quite a bit. So I definitely Stratton needs to get some innings tomorrow. I that is going to be key. Is Stratton needs to get 6 or 7 innings tomorrow. Get the bullpen some rest. They definitely have been worked quite a bit, and or at some point, and you're starting that's probably what's also happening. The bullpens maybe starting to suffer a bit of fatigue. So yeah, definitely need to get some innings out of the starters tomorrow and Wednesday. But I'm hoping that the good Stratton comes out and not the bad Stratton. But also the sad part about seeing a game in Miami, that beautiful ballpark, that beautiful fish tank, but all those empty seats. It looks a lot emptier than the Coliseum over there in Miami. And that thing was built around 2010, 2011. And, and yeah, I think the fans are probably giving the middle finger to Derek Jeter as of right now for tearing down the roster. So that's kind of understandable there. Even when Stanton was playing there, they they weren't a good, they never drew good attendance. Wow. Your paid attendance tonight was 6,023. It almost reminds me of baseball at the old ballpark in Montreal. That's pathetic. That was truly pathetic attendance by the Marlins, and that's on Derek Jeter. That is really on Derek Jeter. I really think Jeter, and this is and what Jeter's done to the team could have big implications when it comes to the next CBA in a few years. And I think there's going to be some sort of a salary cap floor coming. But it does. This could have huge. And I really think 2021 we are going to see a lockout. I certainly think that owners are starting to get smart enough not to pay these horrendous contracts to players, and the players have gotten spoiled on these 200 million, $300 million contracts. Bryce Harper, I don't think he's going to get 400 million this offseason. Even and Mike Trout, if there's anyone who might be deserving of 300 million, is Mike Trout. That might be it. But a lot of owners are reluctant, and GMs are now reluctant to pay these big type of salaries. Look at Clayton Kershaw. He's going to his price went down a bit with the injuries he's had the last couple years with the Dodgers. He can't all of a sudden he can't stay healthy, and that's certainly going to have some big impact when next year when the Dodgers look to extend him. It might now just be a short-term extension, or he's not going to get paid what he would have gotten if he'd stay healthy. Bumgarner, I'm is question for the Giants with Bumgarner is going to be: is Bumgarner really worth 150 million, 200 million to keep for the next 5 to 10 years? And that's going to be a question in the front that is going to have to be solved by the front office this next year. And Bumgarner does need to step up his performance a skosh. He needs to stay healthy if he wants to get that big payday from the Giants. But then again, history's not been kind to the Giants when they've paid good contracts. Look at Matt Cain, $90 million, ended up going in smoke. Barry Zito, that was $100 million down the toilet right there. Zito was rarely effective when he started, and really Zito maybe had one good year with the Giants. That was it. Aaron Rowland, that's another bad contract. Hunter Pence is coming off the books, and mercifully, I like Pence, but I think it's time for him to move on. It's it's contra and look at a lot of these other teams that have been roped into bad contracts. Chase Headley, they've just bought him out. Robinson Cano, the Mariners are really starting to regret, and he's going to be falling into a platoon role when he comes back from suspension. And they paid him all this money. He gets popped for PEDs. Not good. So there's and look at I think last year's free agency. There's really starting to become a lot more awareness by the GMs and owners to not pay these players big big money contracts that don't work out 90% of the time. They really don't. And to be honest, I think we are heading for salary. I think 2021 we're going to see the first year of salary cap baseball. And you know what? The players may not like it, but I think they can agree to a cap floor. That is one thing I think that does. I can agree to the players on is that way Miami can't pull that shit again. Is a cap floor. Certainly to stop teams from tanking and spending very little money. I certainly think that's got to be a review. But teams like Oakland and Tampa Bay that use some of that MLB money, revenue money by being a small market team, that would benefit them to have a cap floor. But it's going to hurt. But I think, but also hurts team. It also maybe discourages teams from tanking by having a cap floor. So I certainly think there's going to be a trade-off as in terms of a salary cap in the next CBA, where teams are going to be allowed to have a cap, but they're going to have to agree to some sort of a cap floor. But that 6,000 attendance, that's just sad for the Marlins. That is just such a nice ballpark to see so many empty seats. And probably by the time they're done paying for that new ballpark in Miami, if the attendance doesn't improve, it may be time to consider relocation. Certainly, Miami, certainly, excuse me, Tampa, they're almost 1 foot out the door already, and the legislature in Florida, they don't want to make it any easier for public financing for ballparks in Florida. So if Tallahassee gets their way, I certainly think we'll start hearing rumors of everybody said. Everybody kind of talks about the Rays going to Montreal. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's a realistic real option. And as I said earlier, the attendance they had at Marlins ballpark, that was the attendance they normally had in Montreal every night. I really don't think Montreal is going to be a viable relocation market for Major League Baseball. Charlotte, I certainly think Charlotte's going to be on the top of the list. And I could see Charlotte being a good market for Major League Baseball. You could certainly have a rivalry with the Orioles. If the Rays were to move to Charlotte, a Charlotte Baltimore rivalry would be really fun. Or possibly a Braves Rays rivalry, that would get exciting to see Charlotte versus Atlanta. So I think Charlotte would be a lot more, to me, of a realistic relocation option for Miami or Tampa Bay. But I think Tampa Bay, if there's any science from Miami, if things don't improve in Miami in the coming years, Miami might be the next team up for relocation. I think for Oakland, you got to thank their lucky stars that Caval is there. He's done a really good, excellent job of trying to get a ballpark done in Oakland. And I think they're. I certainly think they're going to finally reap the benefits of it. But let's get on to the MLB roundup for tonight. The Indians blanked the White Sox 4-0. Taking the win is Carlos Carrasco, 7 scoreless. Lucas Giolito takes the loss, 4 earned and 5 innings pitched. Now with a pathetic ERA of 7.09 and 4 walks tonight. 11 Ks for Carrasco tonight. And Lonnie Chisenhall goes 3 for 4 for the Tribe tonight. The Cardinals beat the Padres 5-2. Taking the win is Jack Flaherty taking the loss, Jordan Lyles. And Jose Martinez goes 3 for 4 tonight for the Cardinals. And hits his 10th home run of the year. Former Marlin Marcell Ozuna hits his 7th home run of the year for the Redbirds. And in 12 innings tonight, the Red Sox beat the Orioles 2-0. Taking the win is Heath Hembree, former Giant Heath Hembree. Taking the loss is Michael Givens for the Orioles. Alex Benintendi goes. Andrew Benintendi. I always say Alex. Andrew Benintendi goes 2 for 3 for the Red Sox tonight. And Dylan Bundy, great outing, just did not get the run support. Stephen Wright, 6 2/3 scoreless innings for the Red Sox. Craig Kimbrell locks down his 21st save of the season. And in Tampa tonight, the Rays beat the Jays 8-4. Taking the win, Ryan Yarbrough. Taking the loss, Sam Gaviglio. Matt Duffy goes 2 for 5 for the Rays tonight. Jake Bauers goes 2 for 3. And Bauers hits his first home run of the year for the Rays. Gaviglio gives up 5 earned in 3 1/3 innings pitched. John Axford, 3 runs, 1 earned in 1 inning pitch. CJ Cron hit twice by a pitch. And games currently in progress in extras in a battle of first place in the NL Central. The Cubs and the Brewers tied at 2 apiece. And Jeffress is currently pitching for the Brew Crew right now. In the bottom of the 6th inning in Arizona, the Pirates currently lead the D-backs 5-0. That is actually really good news for the Giants. Sterling Marte is 2 for 3. Edwin Diaz 2 for 3. Elias Diaz, 2 for 3. Joe Musgrove 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Patrick Corbin roughed up tonight. 5 runs, 4 earned in 5 1/3 innings pitched. Brandon Shipley on in relief right now, so that's really welcome news for the Giants. And currently in Seattle, the Mariners lead the Angels 5-2. Andrew Heaney getting the quick hook tonight for the Angels, giving up 5 earned in 3 innings pitched. Wade LeBlanc, 2 earned in 4 innings pitched for the Mariners. Gene Segura, 2 for 2 for the Mariners right now. Nelson Cruz, 2 for 2, and he's hit his 14th home run of the year. And certainly it looks like, as they said, Cano and D Gordon will be platooning at second base in the interim once he returns from suspension. And tonight in the minors, sometimes when it rains, it pours for the Giants. As the River Cats are currently getting clobbered by the Sky Sox 7-0 in at Rayleigh Field. And Tyler Beatty, oh boy, Tyler Beatty only goes 2/3 of an inning pitched tonight. Gives up 4 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning pitched. Does not make it out of the first inning. And that's got to be a big concern. And then Jose Flores comes in 2 1/3, 3 earned runs, and now Tyler Beatty's ERA is up to 6.71 on the year. He also hit a batter, So to me, this has to be the point where you say enough is enough. Beatty is going to the fucking bullpen finally. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Beatty's ass needs to be in the bullpen after this game. There is no way, no how he can stay in the rotation after tonight. And Beatty's just been. Maybe Beatty's better off in the bullpen. We'll see. I don't know if he's injured, but he's not a starting pitcher anymore. He is definitely not a starting pitcher anymore. And this outing has to finally be the outing that pulls the plug on Tyler Beatty being a starting pitcher. From now on he's pitching out of the bullpen. If I'm if I'm Bobby Evans, I would be relaying that message tonight that Beatty's a reliever and not a starter anymore. And I think this start tonight proved it. Beatty is just not a starting pitcher. And he's really starting to fall into that Steven Soderstrom bust territory at this point. Maybe he can get it together. His last opportunity to get it together is going to be in the bullpen. But currently in Fresno tonight, the Grizzlies currently trail the OKC Dodgers 2-1. And Josh James has been pretty good tonight. Two runs, 1 earned, and 5 innings pitched for the Grizzlies as they look to continue their hold on first place in the PCL Pacific Division. Well, I think that will conclude it for tonight. Hopefully, we will have a better outing tomorrow. These are games they need to win. This is a loss that stings. They can't be losing to teams like this. They got to take advantage of it. July is going to be a murderer's row. So everybody have a good night. I'll be back on tomorrow after the conclusion of tomorrow night's game.